The G20 necessarily, there's no one who doesn't want us in the G20 except this fool. It's this guy who's got a problem with us and by extension America. And America is not a G20. We are a founding member of the G20 and no one is going to push us away. We are going to mobilize international communities to condemn Trump's action. We still have a year where we need to mobilize communities. I want to say it here without any fear of contradiction. Ramaphosa handled this saga very well. If it was me, it would have been worse. He did. That's what you see, that's the thing with diplomacy and radicalism and all of that. You ought to strike a balance. The guy handled that thing very well, very successfully, in a situation where he was confronted by serious hostility. It's not easy to fight America. It has never been easy. But like Fidel Castro, we're not going to retreat. Castro, under serious difficulties, under embargo by America now for more than 60 years. Cuba without toilet papers. You know, in Cuba, when you go to a toilet, those things of toilet papers, you call them what? Ply. They count them for you. That thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, cut it and give you. They don't give you that thing of the whole roll to the bathroom. That's how much bad it is. And we agreed with the TG that we need to join the mission of the Communist Party to send food worth 1 million to Cuba. We are suffering, we are poor, deep slaughtered, but we are in a much better position compared to those comrades in Cuba. Why are they suffering like that? Because they decided to take an ideological position against imperialist forces led by America. We must take inspiration from those people. And where we can help the Cubans, let's do that. I said to the TG, if we ask, because ours is very clear, that thing of declaring money to the IEC and nonsense, it's a mission of the Oppenheimers to see who's funding the EFF. I said to TG, we need to find the individuals who can each give us 99,000 rand, not more than the threshold, so that we don't get to disclose them. Put that money together, buy food, and send to Cuba. That's who we are. Insult us anyhow you want. We build houses for disabled people when we've got houses, because their pain is our pain. So when we do that, you must know we're doing that against America. It will never like that. But are we going to retreat because America doesn't want us to do that? Never. Even if America decides that I should no longer enter America, it's okay, I will enter Zimbabwe, I'll enter Botswana, I'll enter Nigeria, I'll enter Africa, my home. Why should I be concerned about people who are going to feed me beggars and make me fat when I can go to Nigeria and eat jollof? Nice, nom nom. Nice food. So why must I fight for beggars instead of jollof? When we're in Nigeria, you must, DSG was there, we're given a nice jollof rice and what is that, goat soup? Pepper soup by the governor of that state, Enugu state. Ah, la la. Hey, my guy, we were sweating, but we're not stopping. Setting but not stopping. That's how nice Africa is. So you want to threaten me that you won't give me a visa to America or give me a visa to London? I don't care. I'll go to Africa and enjoy the company of my own people. One day this will come to an end. Even if it's not achieved under me, I must lay a foundation for those who come after me, that we must not hero worship America, so to an extent that when we are threatened that we can't get visas, we retreat on our ideological position. Fidel went to the grave. I went to bury him. He didn't have a visa to America. So who am I? If I were president, I will never be sheepish in front of the US attack on South Africa, never. First thing I would have dealt with properly is that thing of Rwanda of killing our people by Kagame, killing our soldiers. Till today, we have not responded to that situation. Now the report has come out. Only 27% of our soldiers are fit for purpose. It's not me. When I say it, I get insulted and be told he's putting the country at risk, and we are at risk. We need to turn around the military of South Africa. We need to put more money in the military of South Africa. What is the point putting all monies into all of these things when you can be walloped by a small country like Rwanda? Humiliate you to a point where the president of Rwanda makes no apology about it. He continues to insult us till to date. Till to date. And there's no response. Well, me and Ramaphosa leadership style is different. He does his own things his own way. Sometimes they work, most of the times they don't work. Like that diplomacy of his was needed now. Because we owed it not only to Trump, we owed it to the world to be hospitable to our visitors. And we're exactly that. And never shown a sign of a panicking nation which is under siege by America. So you should know that I will never be sheepish. We've got, and most of the Matala, when Matala said to you, he's got how many? 8 special forces, 9 special forces, 8, and 1 task force. He was not answering the question. He was actually trying to threaten us that he walks around with the army. The Special Forces of South Africa, it means the highest level of the South African National Defense Force. The highest. Those people alone, they can flatten that thing of Rwanda alone. Our Special Forces. They are not small boys, those people. Very dangerous people. Followed by Special Task Force in the South African Police Services. Very dangerous people. Part of you to pass to be a member of a task force, not even special force, task force, you have to jump out of that thing of a parachute. Every task given to you, you have to be dropped in a country, a foreign country, without that country knowing, in a bush, and then you have to find your way back. Without a cell phone, without a compass, nothing. You have to sit like this and look and say possibly this way and go and come back. That's when they teach you how to infiltrate the country. You know, not even a special task force. There's a force under the special task force is called counter-assault team. They are trained to pass a lie detector. This thing I was telling you about. Lie detector, you call it what is the DP? Polygraph. So what they do, because I guess they put things under your feet so that when you lie, the toes move. So under your toes, they put the pins inside your shoes. You must stay like this. If you move, even when you are lying, if you move, these things are going to cause you trouble. So your conscience is aware there are pins under my toes. So I must make sure even if I lie, these things don't move. They are trained to pass a lie detector. It's part of their training. So when a graduate TG of a counter-assault team says to you, I pass a lie detector, and you think this is an innocent person, you must know it's a lie. They are trained to pass that thing. We've got those people. It's not so much about Rwanda. It's so much how much protection Rwanda will get from Britain, from Israel, from the USA, if we decide to engage them toe for toe. That's what makes them survive. Why would, without an American protection, a Rwandan president go to Oval Office with the DRC president Tshisekedi to go and sign an agreement? When they come back, the Rwandan president is still continuing with his shenanigans in the forest of DRC. He knows. He enjoys protection from those people. But, I don't know what is the ANC resolution on the Communist Party. We are part of the globe. Globalization, it was not of our own design, but the world evolved to become a globe. And these multinational forums where we are able to express our views, whether we're being heard or not, make a space for us to go and articulate our views. We ought to utilize those forums. Let's take, for instance, the UN. It's one body which is a very good idea, ideally, but in practice, the big brothers don't take anything it says serious. You bomb UN missions in Palestine. You bomb people who are going to supply food. UN missions. Who are we in the bigger scheme of things? The G20 helps us to engage in global economic matters, to express what could be alternative ways to can get the world better. The G20 that emanates out of the 2008 banking crisis, which plugged the world into an economic crisis and was trying to find an alternative platform international where such things can be avoided, is now being utilized by a fascist of note to settle political scores. So you will know, Ntsiki, that where we are not wanted, that's where we are going actually. There where America doesn't want us, that's where we want to go. Because it doesn't matter, we want to express our views. It doesn't matter how much veto powers they've got in the Security Council. We want to sit as a permanent member of the Security Council and challenge this thing of veto powers. We know we're not wanted there, but we want to sit there. We're not going to retreat about that. We're not going to retreat that because we're not... comrades, local government elections, we're fighting. It's not about local government elections soon. It's for the survival of the EFF. Because if it took a knock in 2024 and it does the same in 2026, it must know that is a way out of the South African politics. So don't ask me about strategies. No. You can't ask me that. Just know we're fighting. And at the center of our fight, and central where resources will be put highly, is in the Eastern Cape. We have been sleeping in that province, and we're not going to have a provincial leadership that is going to sleep in that province. Someone asked me, are the provinces, that Eastern Cape leadership, if it's not going to change its attitude, it will watch this EFF from Reverend Zondo's church in Mid-Val. Is it Val or Mid-Val or somewhere there? Because that's where people are frequenting. The only person who's able to bring numbers for them is the congregation of Reverend Zondo. We have no place here for people who want prayers. Want prayers, Zondo is waiting for you there. In return, you shall march in his support for his rape case when he appears in court. Not here. Here, we're not going to loiter around with people of no value and substance. The performance in the by-election of Ekurhuleni yesterday has been sanctioned here now, 2 o'clock, when we're finishing. They are coming here. They must explain what happened. We are in that era where if you lose a single vote of the EFF, you have to come here and explain why. And why must we keep you? Because there are clowns who are running around here in Gauteng and then who are more into monies than the actual organizational work. So we're not going to harbor such people in the EFF who are going to bring an ANC tendency. Because what made the ANC decline, I can tell you now without fear, it doesn't sanction mediocrity and laziness, ill-discipline. You know, I was in the ANC when I was going through my problems of SARS, of the criminal case in Limpopo and all of that. And then we'll go to the NEC, and on Sunday I'll be in the front pages of all newspapers. Not a single person will ask me, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing the things you're doing? Can you explain this? In the NEC, they will all be there. The president will be there. Everyone will be there. They will still pass like nothing happened. I can tell you now, Begi Kele was at the NGC of the ANC. I can tell you now, no one asked him, why did you take Kat's money, Matala's money? Why did you sleep at Matala? No one. They never do that in the ANC. Hold you accountable. I went to school after the ANC because no one in the ANC has ever said to me, why are you not going to school? Why are you loitering around with this woodwork thing? You are still young. To a credit anyway is Naledi Pandu. After I said to her, I said something bad about her. And then I couldn't sleep. That evening my grandmother called me and said, but you don't speak like that about an older person, especially if this person is not speaking like that out of her own wish. That's who she is. You have to go to that woman and apologize to her. We went there with Pulema. I used to have a good friend in the ANC called Good Pulema. We looked for her and she called us somewhere. She was in a meeting. We went. And I went to apologize to her. Pule was there. And I can't remember if Magatka was there or whoever. Then after we spoke for too long, she said, no, I understand you. It's okay, I understand. That's fine. Can you all excuse us? Go outside. And she said to me, Julius, why are you not going to school? You're too young. go to school. No one has ever said that to me. And that's what declined. That's what led to the decline of the ANC. They never hold anyone accountable. We catch a boy who has been fraudulently using his qualifications in the NYDA, wanting to be a chairperson of an NYDA from Mpumalanga. Is the TG of the Youth League. I can guarantee you now, no one has called that boy after that expose in Parliament. No one in the ANC has called that boy, come here. What is this nonsense? You see, this one who's chairing the press conference here, he doesn't have a driver's license. Doesn't have. In the past CCT, his issue was a subject of discussion. How are you going to drive around and serve the people? Because driving is not luxury, it's a necessity. It's a life skill. It's like swimming. Someone was asking me, do not swim in Mara, Udundela, in those rivers. Someone asked him, he will never leave this EFF and say, but you are in the EFF and you don't know how to drive. And he says, he won't say, I will never. You must ask him, Mbuyiseni, actually. I said to Mbuyiseni, you have to drive. Mbuyiseni says, why? I don't see a need. I can find my way around and do all of those sorts of things. And you are going to get in that taxi. You are going to find some crazy fanatic of Jacob Zuma who's going to press you at the bakery. What is that nonsense you are speaking about? Jacob Zuma in Parliament? What? It is not only that necessity and life skill, it's also security. I'm not saying buy Ferrari, I'm saying drive. You can go and ask him. He refused. And he once said to me, you know, Mbuyiseni is smart. You can't take that away from him. And he says to me, I can drive. I mean, if you just give me the theory of how you do this thing, I can drive. So one day, we were at Marikana, where they shot people. We were preparing for something of the EFF. There's a comrade of ours called Sam. He's now a pastor. I don't know where Sam is. Chavala. He came with a cabriolet there at Marikana. So I said, Mbuyiseni, you once said you can drive. Sam, show this guy. Don't get in with him. Show him what he must do, and you know, where they shot our people in Marikana, it's an open thing. Then we said to Mbuyiseni, get in. He got in, and then he started driving, and he drove first time successful like that. I think he was being driven by the spirit of our people in American. And then he was making rounds. The way it was so nice, he didn't want to stop. When we were like, man, you have to stop now. With all his qualifications, he still lacked something that we needed to tell him. There is this thing. Look after this. There is no such a thing. So in the EFF, we are not going to let that go. Till today, Vuskoza is still crying about a bus because we asked him, we held him accountable. Why didn't you fetch your people from where you stay to FNB, where our people, all of them, ought to be? Why? I couldn't provide an answer, and he was held accountable. He can hate us anyhow he wants. We hold each other accountable, and that's what we do. And that's our local government election strategy. The provinces have got a mandate now. You are not going to file a report that says this councillor is lazy, when we deploy them is not responsive. If you file a report like that, we hold you accountable because we gave you power over them. We want you to come with a report that says, this councillor did not do 1, 2, 3 and we acted this way. But everything else must be fair. I'm not related to Ket Matlala. Ket Matlala and my wife share a surname. Sbongo Fanana. There are a lot of people like that. That's why I said to him in that prison, jokingly, that when he was trying to define his relationship with the head of Hawks in KZN, I'm forgetting his name, he said, it's like a brother to me. Actually, his wife is a cousin. No, not a cousin. Actually, his wife, what will I say? His wife and me share the same surname. And I said to him, at the radio you're going to call me your cousin. And he said, yeah, you are my cousin. But I'm not. And my wife is not related to Ket Matlala. And the definition of Ket Matlala, of where they come from Nebo, the Skukuni side. My wife's Matlalas don't come from Skukuni side. There are two Matlalas. They are the ones of Skukuni, they are the ones of Ramatlala. Amatlala Tawa. That side of Mashashani. Most people around there, they are actually Ndebeles, who are now who convert into Pedi-speaking people to an extent that they even converted their surname. Bo Jonas Gwangwa. So the ones that didn't want to call themselves Gwangwa, they change and call themselves Kwakwa. But they are Gwangwas. So that's the side where my wife comes from. So there's no any relation. But your pettiness could not move me. Now there is a guy who looks after me now. You see this guy behind the wife of Ket Matlala. That picture you used and said Matlala's bodyguards or protectors were looking after Malema's wife, and you put the cat's wife with a bodyguard and you say, that's my wife. That's not my wife. The guy in that picture now works for the EFF. So the thing with protectors is that they move from one place to the other, they rotate, so we can't be held accountable for such a nonsense. But we have nothing against, we have got nothing to do with Matlala. And that's why I was there at the prison. I asked him questions. And I did so without being shaken or any other thing. I took a decision when I went to Matlala's thing to be psychological in my approach and to speak to his conscience with an hope and aim that I can break him, that when you speak to his soul and conscience, he will be able to say, look man, this is not right, because Matlala might not have had anyone who spoke to him the way I did his entire life. Oremagai, what is this now? Like, why are you doing what you are doing? That's why I had to say to him, speak to Jerry's mom. He struggled and he thought he's going to evade that thing, and I said, this is my time, it's not your time. You are going to speak to Jerry's mom. Because psychologically I thought in the conversation with the mother, the way it is, the conscience might kick in and he's able to break and say, no man, I have to just accept my wrongdoings. What is conscience? You ought to live here knowing it. Is that thing that Julius Mukwanazi did at Madlanga Commission, where the lies are in conflict with conscience. you start sweating. Because this one brain is going against itself. They are going the opposite direction, but there's one brain. Okay, you think Julius Mukwanazi because he's current. Maybe I'm being opportunistic. You remember the national chairperson of MKP, Ntlego? Yes. What is his name? Nkosi Nati Ntlego. When his conscience had to declare a swimming pool a fire pool, you remember he was sweating? He was also fire pool. That's conscience. When you do those things of competency tests, they put things on your fingers and then make you sit on some chair and all of that. They call it what? Polygraph. Polygraph. They make you sit there and then they start asking you questions. You must sit, so even under your feet, they put some equipment. You must answer honestly, because if you don't, conscience kicks in. And someone was telling me a story that when they put him through the competency, and then they asked him the same question 3 times, and the conscience came back that now he has to confess, or it's true, but he said no. Instead of saying yes, this finger stood up. This one, he just found his finger up like this, and then he knew, no, it's gone. I don't know, if I had anything, I was going to cut this finger. I don't want it anymore. It just stood like this. He didn't give it a permission to stand. That's what I wanted to do to Matala. You approach different scenarios with different approach. And being a student of psychology, I know that myself. That's why you try to play psychological games with me. I know this one is taking chances and it's not going to get to me because I know this game. So I was trying that. To an extent, I succeeded because Jerry's mom sent me a message and thanked me. And thanked me and said, for the first time, I felt represented. That what I've been longing for, that someone should hold this guy accountable about my son. It happened today and I'm happy. If I can make one African mother happy, you guys, I know I will never do anything to please you. That's where we stand, Somlom. Thank you. I'm sorry I took long, but as a commissar, I've got a responsibility to educate.
Brothers and sisters of Africa, what are your thoughts on this video? Subscribe, like, share. Thank you for watching.